Let me introduce my chief, my mentor, Dr. Oleg Maltsev. As you know, he's a researcher of South African criminal tradition. You received books of Mr. Maltsev. You remember Black Death, Black Logic, and 54.
Yes.
And I'll introduce you to my chief. Вот он, собственно.
Ну, вопрос номер один, если вы позволите, выглядит так. Он откуда сам знаком с ножевой традицией?
Переводи.
So hello, so the question number one is, where from do you know or are you acquainted with the tradition itself?
I think when I first joined the gangs, it was back in 1991. Whenever you wanted to be part of a gang, you needed to understand the use of a knife, and at that moment it was a sable. That was the standard gang knife that we used.
Okay, 1 minute, please. Я познакомился в 1991 году с криминальной традицией. Безусловно, когда ты находишься в бандах, то ты должен быть хорошо знаком с ножевой традицией. Первое, с чем я познакомился, это был sable. Yeah, was it this sable or maybe?
Она?
Is it this one?
Not really. It's more of the one that had the silver handle I don't know. It could be, but it had a very similar blade size, but just a bit silver without the wooden part to it.
Он говорит, очень похож на это, но только если мы смотрим серебряную часть без деревянной части. Откуда он дерево видит?
Ну, он имеет в виду...
Okay, so let me show you.
So you mean
See this one?
Вот он.
Ну, sable. Да, окей. Это просто разные разновидности, скажем.
It's just the different types of it, of the sable.
Yeah, so it would be the different types of it, yes. Yeah, so this is the one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Maltsev has the same type of the sable as you do as well.
Okay, cool.
Вопрос номер два выглядит так. Меня интересует, а как он учился этой традиции? Что он делал, чтобы научиться?
So the question number two, how did you learn this criminal tradition? What did you do?
What happened was, at the age of 14, in order to have been accepted into the gang, you had to understand and know how to use a knife. That was the most important thing. And I was introduced to the gangs when I was 14 by a guy that saw potential in me, that actually wanted me to be part of the gang because he saw me as a potential. And so he recruited me into the gang.
В возрасте 14 лет, то есть он как бы познакомился с бандами, и для того, чтобы попасть туда, нужно уметь владеть ножом. И один человек как бы увидел его, завербовал его, потому что он думал, что он потенциальный член, хороший будет член банды, и, я так понимаю, он научил его ножу.
То есть вас научили просто, ну то есть был человек, который вас научил.
Basically, there was a person who was recruiting you. He actually taught you the blade work. Is that correct?
No, not really. What he was one of the you see in the gang culture in South Africa, in Кейптаун, you would have a person that recruits you into the gang, and then once the gang accepts you, then there will be somebody that actually trains you or teaches you the code of the gang. And once you are able to understand the code of the gang, you then go to the next level, which is the training aspect of how to use the tools that come with the gang. So one of the most fundamental tools within the gang would be the blade, or the knife. And then once you progress from the knife, you would go into a firearm. You know, so those would be the levels, but you decide if you want to stay with the blade or if you want to go into the firearm, but you need to know the blade first because it's a sign of discipline, respect, and it also is a much more, it's a contact, because when you engage with the victim, it takes much more to take a life with a knife than it takes to have a firearm, because you can shoot someone in a distance, but with a knife you need to be in close contact. So that is how they tested your loyalty to the gang, is how close you could get to someone and how close you could actually get in order to take a person's life.
Thanks. 1 minute, please.
I gotcha. То есть он говорит, нет, не обязательно ни один человек, то есть когда его принимают в банду, один человек его вербует, после этого будет один специальный человек, который тебя будет тренировать. Сперва они обучают правилам банды, только
первый уровень.
Да, только после этого переходят на как бы тренировку оружия, которые вместе с этим идет, не только нож. Но сперва идет клинковое оружие, после чего огнестрельное. Клинковое оружие, почему оно первое? Оно показывает, что человек дисциплинированный, он показывает посредством ножа, посредством убийства человека, человек доказывает свою лояльность, потому что они говорят, насколько близко ты можешь подойти к человеку, потому что с пистолета как бы убить человека легко, говорят.
Хорошо, с чего нож начинается, с чего учить ножу начинают, с какого шага?
So welcome, can you please tell what is the first step of training with the blade?
Oh, the first step of training with the blade was it's basically called defense. And then it would be how you could use the knife as a way to defend or to reflect. And then the second step would be where you go in when you have spotted the how can I say, an area on the person's body that's most sensitive. So you would be told that the neck, under the arm, the leg, or by the groin area. So you would be told which would be the sensitive areas. And in most cases, gangs knew that for them to protect themselves, they would normally have a towel around the neck to prevent a stab to the neck, or they would have a towel or even multiple t-shirts to protect themselves when you stab them under the armpit, because that's also another area. But you were taught how to do the offense. For instance, how to keep another person's blade away from you.
Okay, thanks.
And then you would also be taught how to engage when that person had an open area on his body. But you couldn't just stab anywhere. You needed to be specific, and it needed to be done within at least 2 stabbings instead of just a multiple. You couldn't stab because it was a sign of disrespect. If you had to stab the person multiple times, like 6 or 7 times, it would have been a fit, because they pride themselves in a quick death, and they also pride themselves in the form of how you stab. It's not like stabbing a chicken 6 times to get it to die, but it's like 1 blow and then it's sorted.
Thanks.
То есть сперва обучение клинком начинается с обороны. Тебе объясняются, какие ключевые точки на теле человека нужно бить. Это шея, подмышками, нога, область паха. Потом как бы человек переходит к... еще есть определенные полотенца, когда человек оборачивает шею, чтобы защищаться от людей, либо несколько слоев одежды, футболок одевает, чтобы себя защищать. После этого человек учится атаке, и человек учится атаке именно с одного удара. Если человек нанес в человека 6 ударов и только так может убить, то это неуважение. Нельзя там 500 ударов потом убить, нужно 1 удар, и он должен быть решающим.
Оборона с чего начинается? Как учат обороне?
So when we say the defense, I mean, how does this defense training looks like? I mean, mechanically, how do you start training the blade work?
Defense part.
For defense, what you would get, I don't know if you know the switchblade.
Yes, we know.
It's a knife that comes out of the...
Of course.
You would be trained on a switchblade, the one that flips out, not the one that you the one that you do this, not that. You won't be trained on that one. You'll be trained on the one that flips out of the mechanism. That would be your training knife. And then what would happen is there's a way of holding the knife. Obviously, if I show you on this one, it would be, the hand must be, this finger must be on top of the blade in order to but this would be a backhand stab and not a front stab. And then what would happen is that in order for you to make sure that the assailant doesn't, this would be your defense. It would be guarding blade.
So what is the first technical element that you start learning in the defense?
What do you learn when you do your training in the beginning?
Yes, the first technical element.
The first one, as I said, was to protect your body from being stabbed, to hold your knife in a way that deflects or deflects his knife away from you, so that you can get a clear opening to basically stab him. So it's just learning to understand the flow of the knife, because the first element in this is you need to be one with the knife. The knife needs to move as you move. It needs to move as you think, because at the end of the day, if you're just thinking of stabbing the person, you will make life-threatening decisions.
То есть первое, нужно научиться именно потоку самого ножа. Нужно сделать так, чтобы нож и вы стали одним, чтобы вы вместе двигались. Потому что если вы думаете о том, как заколоть человека, вы сделаете плохое действие. Поэтому вы должны как бы искать открытые части на теле противника и бить туда.
Мистер Велком, скажите, пожалуйста, а ножом бьют или режут?
Mr. Welcome, can you please say, do you stab with a knife or do you cut with a knife?
It depends on like for instance, it's impossible with my knife.
Зависит, говорит,
With my knife.
ножа, например, с моим ножом невозможно сделать что-то.
You are not encouraged to cut.
То есть,
Like I said, that the objective here is to not play with the victim. It is to kill. So therefore, you have an opportunity to stab and not cut. Otherwise, the assailant or the person might walk away with multiple cuts, which are not fatal. So there is no cutting. You don't cut. You need to stab, so it can be fatal and can kill the person. And the requirement is at least 2 stab wounds that would ultimately take the person out or kill the person. If you can do it in 1, then you're quite good. But if you can do it in 2, then it's okay. But no cutting.
Режущие удары не поддерживаются, потому что лучше наносить как бы бьющие, и 2 удара, если вы наносите, человек умирает, это как бы нормально. Если вы можете убить человека с 1 удара, то это хорошо.
Не приветствуется вообще.
Не приветствуется.
То есть, когда мы говорим техника, ее вообще нет. То есть, откуда эта техника? Она выдуманная? Или ее передают кто что придумал, то и делает? Или есть какая-то система?
So when we speak about the technique itself, I mean, is it just made up by...
I can't get that.
Okay. So when we speak about the technique, is it just made up by somebody, so there is no a coherent system, or how it is?
No, what happens is there is one system, because all the gangs have their own system of stabbing. For instance, you would have the Americans, you would have the Mongrels, you would have the JCYs, and you would have, like we were the firm. So the way in which they stab would be their marking. So if you knew that you had a fight with an American gangster or the guy that was in American's gang, there would be a certain amount of wounds and a certain way in which they will stab you. If you were fighting with a Dixie, there will be a certain way in which they stab you. So they had different trademarks in their stabbing.
То есть каждая банда имеет свой способ нанесения удара.
Своя система каждой банды.
А в чем разница?
And what is the difference between the systems?
The difference is in the way, for instance, let's take the firm for instance. The firm had, for them, it was always in the neck.
Например, если мы говорим о банде под названием фирма, помните, firm?
And then what they would do is that they would stab the knife and turn, and then remove it. You know, and so for the Americans, it would be under the arm, and it would just be one and out. They won't turn the knife.
А как бы банда американцы, они бьют под подмышки удар.
Точки, получается, должны.
Это не система,
А цифровые банды?
What about the number gangs? How do they stab?
The number gangs have a very different way of stabbing because you know that it's a confined space, it's in prison, so it might be that they had their blades limited, so they would have shorter blades, longer blades, depending on the request, or depending on whether the person had to die. If the person didn't have to die, then the blade would be shorter, but they wouldn't really be, because remember, all of the guys coming into the prison are part of street gangs. So they would already have the idea of how to use a knife. So it wouldn't be something which they still have to be taught. But the way in which they will stab will change based on the requirements. Should the person live or should the person die? In many cases, it wasn't for the person to die, but it was just to send a message.
Okay, thanks. 1 minute, please.
Есть разница в том, как бьют числовые банды, то есть у них есть разные виды, коротким ножом или длинным ножом, все зависит от того, нужно, чтобы человек умер или не умер. Чаще всего они используют ножи не для убийства, а для того, чтобы, сообщение передать. Что он еще сказал, в тюрьмах есть 3 вида банд, вот эти 3 числа.
Сколько разновидностей ударов ножом существует у числовых бандов?
Welcome. How many types or kinds of strikes or hits are there in number gangs?
So each the 26s obviously would be a total of 6. 27s would be a total of 7, and the 28s would be a total of 8. But that is only in serious cases. That law for killing someone with a total number of stabs would only be given once there is no other punishment for the person. If the cause is death, then it would be the amount of the number gang which the person is, which would be 6, 7, and 8. But there's other smaller punishments before that.
Он говорит о наказаниях. Он говорит, например, если 26-х там суд прошел и человека наказали как бы смертной казнью, то наносится 6 ударов. То есть он не отвечает на это. 6 количество ударов, чтобы убить.
Скажи, вот смотрите, мистер Велком.
So, Mr. Welcome, can you please look?
Вы меня видите?
Do you see us? Do you see Dr. Maltsev?
Sorry?
Can you see Dr. Maltsev?
Вот я наношу удар.
So here's the stabbing.
Вот я наношу удар. Это один технический элемент.
And this is one technical element.
Okay.
Сколько таких технических элементов в системе?
How many technical elements as such are in the system?
Right?
Yeah.
So when the 26 stab, so the 26 will always stab upright.
То есть 26-й мы всегда как бы наносим удар, как бы вот как вы показали.
Okay.
Рука. Да.
That would be the 27 would stab frontal, and the 28 would be this side.
27-й будет фронтально наносить удары, а
26
28-й сбоку.
torso, 27, would be 1, 2, but it must be torso, 1, and then I'm also fucking stabbing someone now.
То есть 26-е будут бить как? Прямо?
So this is the way 26 will strike, right? Can you please look in the camera?
So this?
26.
Okay, this.
You know, you can put your camera.
Yeah.
So 6 will be like this.
26. Вот так будет 26.
Okay.
27 will be like this.
27 так.
28 will be like this.
28
Yeah. Exactly. Perfect.
идеально.
Я знаю. То есть эти бьют отсюда протыкающими, эти бьют вот так, а эти бьют сбоку. Да. И у каждого своя техника.
And each number gang has its own technique, right?
Each gang has its own technique, because the technique has a specific signature. That's how you know that it was a 26 killing, a 27 killing, or 28 killing.
Да.
So that's how you are able to say what actually happened.
Да, у каждого есть своя подпись, говорит, например, что вы точно знали, кто убил, 28-й, 26-й, 27-й. Да. То есть у них своя подпись, он так и сказал.
То есть, если, мистер Велком, если удары нанесены вот сюда, вот человек, если удары, это 26-й, правильно?
So if the strikes are delivered in here, these are 26, is that correct?
Yeah.
Да.
Если удары нанесены сверху, это 27-й.
And if the strikes are delivered from upside down, it is 27.
Если удары нанесены сбоку, это 28-й.
And from the side, it's 28.
Да, и мы точно знаем всегда, кто наказал человека.
And we know exactly who has punished the person, right? 26 or 27.
Then you will know exactly who delivered the punishment, and you will know exactly what gang was responsible for that specific killing.
Да, вы будете знать, кто именно и какая банда за это отвечала, за наказание.
Великолепно. Следующий. Сколько по времени обучения проходит человека?
So how long one is trained? I mean, how much time it is needed to train somebody the technique?
Okay, so in order to master it, it would take you longer than the 8 days. For 28, it's 8 days. For 26, it's 6 days. For 27, it's 7 days. But in order to master it, it would have to take longer than that.
Возникает вопрос, а какие стадии обучения проходят они?
And there is a question, what stages of training do they pass through?
What stages of training? Stages.
Yes.
Yeah. Levels, maybe.
Okay, so what happens is within the gang itself, there are levels of that you climb. So if you want to be on top, obviously it will take you years to master the art of knives so that you can actually become a leader. But if it is that you are just an enforcer, somebody that just stabs once or twice off, then you don't really climb. You just stay as a soldier. But if you want to be a lieutenant or a captain or a sergeant, you would have to continuously master the art of stabbing.
Он говорит, если вы хотите просто быть солдатом, то это легко. А вот чтобы стать там лейтенантом, сержантом, капитаном, нужен год, может больше даже.
То есть нож связан со званием?
Basically, the blade is related with the rank. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Да.
That is why when you train, you have a switchblade. When you pass your training, you get a sable.
Поэтому, говорит, вначале, когда вы тренируетесь, у вас вот этот выкидной нож, а потом сабля.
Да. А капи уже не используется сейчас?
What about okapi? Isn't it used like over there? Or it is not?
Sorry?
What about okapi? Is it still used over there?
The okapi was predominantly used by miners or gangs in the locations, like coming from Sophia Town, or if you're in Кейптаун, Guguletu, Kailicha, but predominantly blacks were using the okapi.
This one, right?
Yes.
То есть он используется именно черными, говорит. То есть этот не черный, видите, этот цветной.
Yeah.
Да, вот цветной.
Получается.
Beautiful.
Так держать или так?
So, how it is right to hold it? In this manner? Or this?
That would be the specialist.
This one?
That would be, it has to be perfect.
Вот сейчас идеально, говорит.
А сейбл держится по-другому, вот так.
But the sable is hold in this manner, right?
Yes.
А сейбл в обратную сторону.
Okapi you turn. Sable is in that position. Blade out and blade in.
Лезвие вовнутрь, лезвие
Вовне, да. А sable используется в основном чернокожими, да?
So the sable is used mostly by black people
Или наоборот, акапи
or okapi.
The okapi is used mostly by the Tsotis, the black people.
Black people.
And then the sable will be used for most gangs within the colored
Okapi среди
communities.
цветных в бандах.
Ну, черных. Black
Да.
people.
Не, окапи с черными, а сабля, говорят, у цветных,
Вот,
то есть
да,
как
да,
он,
да.
и банда.
И банды, да? Именно в числовых бандах, да?
In number gangs, right? The sable is used in number gangs.
The sable is used in street gangs outside. The numbers gang have a different. It's made knives.
В длинном ноже и коротком ноже техника отличается?
And the technique of handling the short blade and the long blade, is it different or is it the same?
It's very different, yes.
Разные.
Разная техника, да?
We talked about the long knife and the short knife.
Yeah.
Yes.
About differences in technique, in okapi, in sable and long knife. Yeah, and what is the difference between in technique?
Okay, so the technique in relation to that is that it is fairly simple to handle the knives with the shorter handles,
Намного
but it's much
легче,
more complicated to handle the knives with the longer blade.
чем больше клинок, чем длиннее клинок, сложнее.
You understand?
Yeah.
Да. Длинный нож также держится или по-другому?
How do you hold the long knife?
Так
So that's still
или
fairly-
так?
How do you
Длинный.
hold
Yeah.
the long knife? This one,
So that's
this
the-
one.
So if I were to have a longer knife, right, it would be predominantly holding it like this.
Can you show it to the camera? We
Show
don't
to-
see.
to camera.
Yes. Вот так будет держать длинный нож.
Да, понятно.
Because it would be longer.
Длинным ножом работать тяжелее,
Understand?
да? И техника длинным ножом будет другая, да?
And the technique of stabbing with the long knife would be different, right?
Very much different, yes.
Да.
It would be very much different.
А чем он,
Yes.
чем отличается?
Can you demonstrate how different? For instance, you have a long knife. How would you stab?
So if I were to have a one that's longer,
Yeah.
right, then I would, instead of holding it like this, I would hold it like this.
Okay, how would you stab? Show us.
It would be from
Вот
the
так буду
top
бить, говорит. Сверху
instead
вниз.
from the bottom, but from the top.
Не снизу, а сверху буду бить.
Do you understand?
Yes.
То есть длинным ножом бьют сверху.
Basically, we always strike from top to bottom with the long knife.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. Top.
Да.
И все, и цифровые банды, и другие.
And it is related to all, to number gangs and to everybody else. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Так ли это, что есть нож вот этого длинный, это нож судьи?
Is it true that the long knife is the judge's knife?
Yes, that's the reason why it is that is the truth. That the judge would use the longer knife as a form of judgment or punishment, because it is longer and it is based on the experience of the person using it. So it has been in the gang for a much longer period, because you start with the short and then you get to a longer one.
Он говорит, да, это
So the
правда.
longer your knife, the more experienced you are. The shorter the knife, you know, that means that you just, you know, you're not that experienced, but you know how to use it.
Okay, thanks. 1 minute, please.
Да, длинный нож используется судьей. Во-первых, это показывает, что у него есть огромный опыт нахождения, потому что коротким клинком намного легче орудовать, чем длинным. Длинным сложнее, это показывает, что у тебя есть опыт. И так он как бы делает, выполняет это наказание.
Короткий чаще для новичков, ну то есть для начинающих. Чем более опытный человек, тем длиннее нож.